Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Quixie office hours for PMI Hackathon Challenge, which includes training hours and Ask Doubt sessions. I'm Sriram, Marketing Specialist at Quixie. Also, today I have my colleague, Shashikiran, who is the technical writer at Quixie and will be driving today's training session. We believe and are committed to providing you with full support for the hackathon. So before we begin today's training hours, we have few housekeeping points, which are this training session will be in listen only mode. Any participant can submit their questions in the Q&A window and we will answer every question by end of the session. This training session will be recorded and the recording will be available within 24 hours on the PMI Quixie page and also on the Quixie's YouTube channel under the playlist named Quixie Partnered Hackathon Project. According to the schedule as discussed in the first training hour session yesterday, we are going to get started with the topic on app creation. So here you go, Shashi.
Thank you, Sriram. That was a great introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Shashi, and I'm the technical writer in Quixie. So I hope you have gone through our first video, yesterday's video, and I hope you have understood the overall navigation of the platform and the feature whereabouts and everything else. So as Sriram introduced, so today we are going to start with our app creation, which is the most core part of Quixie. Whatever process automation you are trying to achieve, so the first step starts with the app creation in Quixie. So now in today's session, I will show you how to create an basic level app by taking a normal use case of a leave application. So that the understanding of the concepts of app creation would be concrete and solid when you revisit this video and understand the whole process, the whole 6-step process of app creation. So without any further ado, let's jump into our platform and see how we can create an application in Quixie. So let me share my screen. Sriram, are you able to see my screen?
Not yet, Shashi. I think it's loading. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sriram. So hello, guys. So this is our platform. As we have seen this dashboard yesterday or as well. So this is not new to you guys. So as you know, when we land on the dashboard page, on the left hand side we have the custom menu, or we can call it as quick access menu. And then at the center, you can see the dashboard where you can put your applications, reports, and anything to get an overall view of your data. As well as on the top, we have the header menu. And then from the admin menu, we can start creating our applications. So yes, as I told you, to create anything, to start or initiate any process in Quixie, we have to navigate to the admin menu. So that's the thing what we are going to follow today. And to create an application, once you go to the admin menu, at the first option that you would see is to create an application. There are a lot of other options as well, but as the training progresses, as you get an understanding about the platform, you can deep dive into the manage apps and everything. However, at the end of the session, I would tell you about this manage app versions, app status, and draft apps as well. So, but for now, to start the session, I will start with this option, create an application. Just select this option and you will straightforward land on the application creation page. So as I mentioned earlier, that in Quixie, app creation process is a 6-step process. So each step has its own value and has own weightage in it to automate any process or enterprise grade solutions. So to automate anything, we have to go to, kind of follow the 6 steps to build and publish an application or to automate any process. So today, as we are taking an example of a leave application, let's automate a leave application process. Let us say in an organization, there is a manager and there are employees, couple of employees working under him. And then I hope most of the time you have leaves that the employees apply and manager has to approve it. So that process we are going to automate today. So when you land on the app creation process, the first step the platform will redirect you to is the name step. Here, as you can see, it's all what to say, self-instructed. Here you can see that you need to select a workspace. I hope you have an understanding about the workspace. Yesterday, as I told you that as a prerequisite, you need to create the three steps which I told you. One is workspace, and then roles, and then users. As of now, in my instance, all the things are already created. So as I told you yesterday, a workspace is a logical separation between applications or domains or anything that you can refer to. So today, the workspace which I am going to select is customer success team, which we created yesterday. So in this customer success team, I am creating a leave management automation process. So I will select the workspace as customer success, and I will name the application as leave management. And then I can give some description like this application is to apply leaves. So we can give any descriptions and this is not mandatory field. You can neglect it as well. So next, if you go further down, there is a blank canvas and there is an option to create a form from file as well. So blank, let me explain about these options. So blank canvas is nothing but in Quixy, I hope you know that in no-code platforms, whatever we try to do is just click of a button or drag and drop method. So this blank canvas empowers you to create an application from the scratch. Like you have to create a form or the application UI, user interface, from scratch, like from dragging and dropping all the elements that you need or the data capturing fields that you need onto the form builder to develop your application UI. Same as the second option we have is form file. This is yet a beta version as of now. This is not completely rolled up. So the functionality of this feature is that we are using some machine learning concepts in this. And then there are a couple of options for you to create a form builder form or the app UI. I will show you what app UI will look like in the next form builder step. So to build an app UI or build a form, you can choose certain files like Excel, PDF, or image or links. And then you can upload any of the file into this here in the platform. If, for example, if I have an image, so I can upload an image. Let me show you how it works. So I have a contact us form, a sample form, which I downloaded from internet. And then I wanted to create a form from this image. So if I click on next. So as I told you, this is a beta version as of now. I think there is some work yet to be done. So I will tell you the process, how it works, and I will leave it to your imagination. How would the form look like? So for example, if I want to upload an image like any forms that you see, online forms, leave application forms, or registration forms, any kind of forms that you see online, or you see in your universities, you see at your workplace, a lot of places that you see. So if you want to replicate the same kind of form in your application as well, so you can simply upload the form and click this arrow button so that the form will be automatically generated for you. So this is about the form file. So today, since you are still starting from a basic level. So I don't want to push you to higher levels of app creation, you have task SLAs and everything here. So we would discuss these options when we deep dive into the platform, when you kind of understand everything, you are comfortable with the basics and everything, then we will come to this task SLAs and everything. So as of now, we have selected a workspace, we have given a name, we have given a description for that, and then I want to create a application form from the scratch. So once you select that create from scratch, your platform will automatically redirect you to the form builder page. So this is the canvas, or this is where you kind of build the user interface of your application by using just simply drag and drop method. So let me show you how it works. So once you land on the form builder page, on the left hand side, you could see there are 3 different types of elements, and every type of element has its own importance and has its own value and has its own weightage to talk about. Let me start from the basic things, then we will go to advanced and reference. So in the basic things, we have normal fields like a text box field, and then you have a date field. There are a lot of other fields as well, like check boxes, file uploads, radio buttons, and then drop downs, calculate fields, and grids as well, subforms as well. So when you if you match your use case and if you want to build your form, so all the elements what you require, the core elements or the highest level, whatever you want to build, these elements will come to play, and then you can build your own application form. So there is no such thing that there is some requirement and you don't find it. Sometimes it happens, but 95% or 99% of the time you would find all the elements that you require. So as I told you, this is just a drag and drop, and I have showed you how I'm just clicking, holding, and I'm just dragging and dropping the elements here. So now on this canvas, there are a lot of other things that you can do. One is you can rearrange the fields that you want at any point of time. After you publish the application as well, you can come edit the application and you can do the changes, and you can resize the data capturing fields as well. Now, the most important part which I want to tell you is that once you drag and drop an element, on the right hand side, you will see all the properties of the data capturing. So what is the role of the properties? So whenever you drag and drop your data capturing fields, there are a lot of things that you want to do. One is you want to give a name to the data capturing fields. For example, maybe if I want to type a full name of an employee, and then here you go, you can see the full name, so that the end user will understand that he has to enter the full name. So in the same way, there are a lot of other properties as well. There is help text. So this help text will be provided to each and every element that is present on the left panel. So we have around more than 40 different data capturing fields, or the elements that we called. So Equixy has more than 40 different elements that you can play with, or you can use it. So for all those elements, you will have a help text. So help text is basically, in a generic way, we can put it in a way that you can give a hint or a direction to the users when they are filling that particular data capturing field. So you can tell them that maybe for a full name, so I can tell them that the user that you need to enter your first name and last name as a full name. So I can direct this thing with a help text. And then there are other properties like a default value. So if I want end users to see a default value there, like maybe here full name, maybe if I want to start with default value, maybe I could keep a company name or something, any default value that you want to put, that the end user would see when he opens this application. So, and then there are scanners as well. So we would come to the scanners and everything when we deep dive into the application. But as of now, I want you to understand the basics of app creation, and I want you to digest everything that you hear or learn in this session today. So once you become comfortable with the 6 steps or the app creation process, then you can play around with this properties like scanners and everything. So after that, we have validation settings. Note that this validation settings, you would come across this validation settings in business rules as well. But you have the validation settings here as well. For every form element, you would see the validation settings. Validation is as a term, validation in the sense you would get a proper sense that it is validating something. So that's right. So to validate something, whether you want this field to be a required field, for example, user cannot submit the application or make a transaction in the application without filling that form. I hope you have come across such kind of fields in various forms where without filling that particular field, putting data into that particular field, platform would not allow you to submit an application. So that kind of required field validation you could set here. And then there is length validation and pattern validation as well. Length validation is nothing but, for a full name, maybe you can restrict the user up to 20 characters. He cannot enter more than 20 characters. For example, when you book a train ticket or something, when you fill out the details and everything, your platform, like the railway platforms, would not accept your name more than 10 or 15 characters. So that kind of validations that you can put here, the length validations. When it comes to pattern validations, pattern is nothing but if you want to restrict the users to use a certain pattern, maybe you want everything in only in total capital letters, or maybe mix of capital and small letters, or maybe mix of the numbers and then all the other letters as well. So you can do the pattern validation. Give me a second. So this is about pattern validation. Next, yes. So these are all the properties that you could see on the right-hand side. The properties will be saved for almost all the fields, whereas for a couple of fields, the properties might change. For example, if you would take a text box, in most of the scenarios, you want to capture only some email address or contact number to be very specific. So in that particular point of time, in this text box category, you have different types of elements as well. If you want a normal text box, or if you want a text area, maybe if you want the user to enter a large amount of text, for example, like an address, home address, or permanent address, or something like that. So in that scenario, you can use text areas. And then there is email ID, and then there is phone number, and then there is rich text editor. So here the rich text editor has a specific use. If you want to learn, the specific use is that in the applications, in a lot of forms and everything, you would see headings of the form. Maybe if this is a leave application, then I would name this form as a leave application. If I would want to show you how this works. So I would select the text box category as a rich text, and then I would select I would open the rich text editor, and I would put maybe a leave application as a heading, and then I would place it at the center, and I want to change the font size, and I want to change the color to green. So this is how, if I say okay, then if I would preview the form which I am building as of now. So if I preview the form, as you can see, that the rich text editor works like this. So you can use it for putting some headings, or put some note points in the application. You can use the rich text editor. Now, let us move on. And as you understood about these form elements, drag and drop methods, canvas, and the properties, I would like to take you through other elements as well, which are advanced and then reference. Once we talk about the advanced and reference elements, and then let's go to our use case and start building our use case. So if you come to the advanced elements are nothing but it will emphasize your form in much more giving you much more depth of options to you to kind of make your form much more comprehensive in the UI as you can look at. So in this advanced elements, you have different types of elements as well. Here there is a checklist. Maybe most of the times checklist can be used. Maybe you are applying for a job, and in that job somebody if you want the end user to check all the degrees that he has graduated or that he has earned in his education time. So for that kind of things, you can use a checklist. And then there is location. Location is to normally capture the location of the user. And then there is a label. If you want to put a label or something on the form, you can put it. And there are links. Link is nothing but the URL links that we put it. So e-signature, dividers, auto-generate fields, QR codes, reports. So there are a lot of other things, advanced elements that we have. So now let me specify. In advanced elements, most commonly we use one element is that auto-generate. So auto-generate, what it does is that maybe maybe in a leave application or maybe in a registration form, maybe you are your university or some employer of a company, they might put out some forms where a lot of people would submit their registrations, whether it be a seminar, whether it be some other things. So for that process, when users are submitting their forms, so you need a unique ID for each form, for each form each user is submitting. So at that point of time, you don't want users to, you don't know, there is no visibility that how many forms are coming up, and you don't know how many people are submitting. Maybe people might, if you ask people to enter a serial number, so there will be a lot of data discrepancies, there will be a lot of issues. However, here you can use the auto generate field. So what it does is that for every new form opening, like whenever you open this application, for every user, their platform will automatically calculate the process or the stage where you are at. Maybe some person has started with 1, maybe you are at 6th position. So platform will automatically calculate the position and automatically populate the unique ID for you, maybe giving a number 6 or something like that. And you can focus on entering the details and submitting the details. This platform will take care so that when the admin or the employer or the university person who is hosting that form would get a clear data with unique IDs for each registration form. So that is how the auto-generate field would work for you. So it will automatically generate a unique code for you. And then there are images, QR codes, and reports as well, that if you want to put it on your application, that you can put it. So this is all about advanced elements that we have. And coming to the reference elements, so this is a very important and very integral part of Quixy, because most of the time we tend to get data from some third-party databases into our application. Maybe if you want to get some data from Quixy database into the application, for example, let me give you an example. As of now, we are creating a leave application management. So every time when an employee applies, comes here, opens the app and try to apply the leave, so you don't want that person to enter his details like the name, his employee ID every time he applies the leave. So that is a bit hectic process. Rather than, what we can do is that we can use reference elements or user details, so that whenever the person, whoever opens the application, the details of that person will automatically populate onto your application. So we would go deep into this reference elements and everything in the further in our journey of app creation process. But as of now, I want you to focus on the basic elements and the advanced elements, and then come to the reference elements afterwards, because it is a bit higher level of application creation process. So so this is all about reference elements and basic and advanced elements. So let's come to our use case which we want to automate today, that is leave management. So I will take simple things. I will not do much more complicated things, but I would do a very simple thing in our leave application. In any leave application, what are the couple of things that you have? One is you have an employee ID. So I will take the number field as employee ID here. And then we have the employee name. So I need a text box for that. Employee name. And if I want employee email address as well, so I can take a text box and I can select the email address here, so that employee will understand it's the email box, and I would give the name as employee email ID. So once the email ID is given, and then what are the things that we need in a leave application is that one is we want to give options to the employee, what type of leave that he wants to apply for. Maybe we can take a drop down field here. We can take a drop down field here. In this drop down field, we can name it as types of leaves, type of leave. So obviously you might have you know that there are different types of leave in any organization or any company. There might be a sick leave. One is sick leave. Another one is privileged leave. Then there is a casual leave. So these are three types of leaves that we normally have in organizations, but it can be it depends on organization to organization what kind of leaves they provide. So as of now, I'm taking as an example as a sick leave. I'm taking custom options, sick leave, privilege, and casual leaves. So whenever, for example, if you preview this, so whenever an employee comes to apply a leave, so if he click on drop down, so you would see the options here. According to the option he select, he could the data will be populated, and he could automatically submit the leave application. And what is the other thing that we need? We need a reason. If a person is taking a casual leave, any manager wants to know the reason why. So here we have taken a reason field as well. Now, so this is all about employee details. So we will keep it as simple as that. So this section is for an employee. Now you will have an understanding that once the employee submits the leave application, it will go to the manager, right? So for manager also, there will be a couple of fields that he needs to fill out. Like he needs to give his approval or decline the leave, or he has to give some remarks about the leave and everything, right? So for that purpose, we will add another section, and this section will be for the manager. So in this section, first thing I would like to see whether he is approving or not. So here I will take a radio button. So in this radio button, I would give choices as approved, or I could give rejected as well. So here, however, we can use radio button. So let me show you how this this will be visible. So this is how the manager would see his approval or rejected option. So we can interpret this process in a different ways. So maybe if I want to store the data of the approval or rejection in some storage device, sorry, I mean in the database, so you can use the radio button. However, we have this option for the manager to approve or reject. So those kind of action buttons which are there, we will see it in a workflow here, a workflow option. So as of now, to show you how this radio button works, so I have given you an example like this. So for a manager, I want to get the manager email address. So I need the email ID of the manager. Manager email ID. And then we have once the manager email IDs we get, and we need date of approval as well. Yes, so in the employee we forgot. So in employee, for employee also, he should apply for date as well, right? So in this date, as you can see, there are different, in the date field also, there are different things we can set, whether you want to capture only the date or the time or date time or any date range. Maybe the holidays can be, he's applying for a leave for certain date to certain date. So for that purposes, you can use the date range as well. So as of now, I just want to capture the normal date here. So I'm taking a normal date field. Application date. And then here the date of approval, there will be manager email ID. And then I want for the manager to give me remarks. So once he gives his remarks, so next what I can do is that once the manager approves the things, so the process should go to HR. So HR should also have a clear understanding of the approval process. So next step is that I want to capture details of HR as well. So we have a third section here. I can name it as HR. So in this HR as well, HR has to approve the leave application. So here I want to tell you a difference between the field name and the label name here. So as you can see here, I have already has given a name as date of approval. If I give the same name to the date field, date of approval, so platform will get confused. Which date of approval are you referring to? So it would not allow you to put the same name for same field. So you need to always make sure that you are putting a proper name for that. So here for that, maybe if it has same names here for manager and HR also, they need to see the date of approval name here, and HR also should see date of approval name here. So for that, what we can do is that the field name what we give is for the admin to view his view the field name. The label name will be the name which the end user will be able to see. So when the end user opens the application, he will be able to see the date of approval name only. However, the field name can be any different name because when admin is creating an application, so he has his own ideology of creating an application, and he should have the clear understanding. So for that process, we have this field name here. So I have kept as HR approval here, and the label name as date of approval. So the end user would see this label name only at the end of the application. when he is applying, when he is submitting, or when he is approving the leave. So we need date of approval, and then we need the same thing, the HR email address. So we will take the email ID. Email address, and then maybe let's put it as HR email ID. And then we want HR remarks as well. So yes, we will need HR remarks as well. Now, so this is how you create the form of an application. We can call it or address it in a different ways. We can call it as app UI, you can call it as app form, and you can normally call it as forms. So this is generally a form of an application, or the front end of the application that you are looking at. Now that according to our use case, we have three different types of levels here. One is employee submits the application, it comes to manager. Manager will provide his particular details, and he will approve or reject the application. And then once he approves the application, then it will come to the HR for HR approval at the end of the day. So once the form is completed, now you can simply click on, if you want to see how the form would look like, you can click on preview here, and this is how the form would look like for the end user. So now next, let us come to the next part is the workflow process. So this is the core part of process automation. So whatever process that you are trying to automate, so this is the place where you automate the process. So in this workflow, as you land on the workflow, you would see a start button, submit button, and a terminate button. So let me tell you the difference between these three buttons and what this button stands for. So let me start with this ocean blue color, which is the start button. Start button is nothing but it is the step or the first step. So here the first step is employee. If you can see in the form builder, so once you come to the form builder, so we are talking about the workflow, right? So in the workflow, the first step, the semi blue color boxes are the steps in the sense, here if you come to the form builder, employee is a step, manager is a step, and HR is a step. So here if you can see the start button here, the first step is the person who is starting the process. So here who is starting the process? Employee is starting the process to for applying a leave. So once what employee can do is that employee can submit the form, and then it will come to the next step, the manager and HR. So let me tell you, so this is the, now this is the employee step, this is the step. Now this is a step action button. The dark blue color submit button, what you are looking at is an action step. For example, when you apply a leave, there you can always see a submit button and a cancel button, whether you want to submit the application or you want to cancel the submission. So that kind of action buttons is this submit button. So once the employee submits the application, then it will come to next steps. So before I go to the next step, so I want to tell you the properties as well. So here also in the workflow, you will always have properties for everything in the QuickSev. So in employee, you will have properties because you want to rename the step as employee. And there are the next step is that who can access this step? Who is the user or who is the role who can access this step? So we can select the roles here. So yes, so here what we can do is that we can select a role. So as of now, since I have not given permission for this workflow, so that's the reason in the workspace which I have created. So I haven't given any roles to that particular workspace. So that is the reason in that workspace, in this workspace, I'm not able to see any roles here. So let me go back to the Let me publish this application. So okay, let us. I will tell you what are these roles and everything. Once I explain you all the steps, so it will cut down the confusion a bit. So I am not taking you to any other process. So let us stick to our application process. So in this application workflow, so here you can select any roles. As of now, you are looking at only any user or anyone. So anyone in the sense here the meaning of anyone is any user who is present in the platform, Quixi platform, that is your organization. So for all the users can access this step or apply a leave application, and any user in the sense universal, it is universal. Any user in the sense it is not specific to only the users present in the Quixi platform. This application can be accessed by any user across the world. If you just give the link of this form to any person outside Quixi also, they will be able to access this form. So these are the two options that we are looking at as of now. So I'm selecting anyone, but I will come back and show you why you are not able to see any roles or any user names here. So I will clarify that doubt for you. But once we complete complete this whole process, then I will come back and tell you how it will be done. So for every step here, as you can see, there is a task message that you can give. This also I will tell you later what is this task message and everything. And I will also tell you what is this task deadline afterwards, because if I explain you right now, you might not be able to correlate, or you will not be able to understand it to the fullest length. So I will tell you what are this task message and task deadline. So let's not go to this other options, because this is a higher level of app creation that you would slowly understand what are these steps as well. So now let's come back to our use case. So first step is employee. He is submitting the leave application. Now, if I go to submit button, so this submit button, I can do a lot of property changes as well. I can rename this button as well, but as of now, employee submitting it, I will put it as submit only. Now, if I want to change the color of this submit button, I can happily change that. You need to simply tap on this thing, and then maybe if I want to change the color to yellow or something like that, or green or something, so I could easily do that. So if you can see, the color has been changed. In the same way, you can change the text color which is present inside the inside this button. You can change that as well. So let me tell you what are these toaster messages later in this discussion. So now when I click on submit button, there are a couple of actions that I can see. So as of now, after employee submitting the button, the process should not get terminated. Terminate option is nothing but to terminate the whole process. So ending the process, if we can say so. So I will, as of now, we are not terminating the process. I will delete this terminate button. I can click on this submit button, and you would be able to see different types of flows that you have that you can create using Quixi. So in Quixi, we have three different types of flows to accommodate all the use cases that come to Quixi, any use case. In as of now, let me tell you one by one. One use case is that, according to our use case as of now, ours is a sequential flow. Sequential flow in the sense, once employee submits his leave application, then it will go to the second step, which is the manager here. So once the manager manager can have two options. Either he can accept the application, and or else he can reject the application. So here, so this is how you will get the action buttons here. So if you want to add much more buttons here, you can add that as well. So here I have given two buttons. If I click on plus button, so I would get another button also. But as of now, I don't need it. So I am sticking with accept and reject button. Manager will either accept or reject the process. So once he accepts it, it should go to next level, which is the HR. He should go to HR step for his approval. So HR will also have two steps. One is either he can accept it or he can reject it. So this is how you can give the action buttons here. So these action buttons will be shown to you when you are taking an action on that particular application. So now there are a couple of doubts you might get here. Let me clear one by one. So now whenever employee submits an application, it will come to the manager. That is a very clear understanding. Now, if the manager accepts it, you can see here itself, it is going to HR. What if he rejects it? So if he rejects it, either you have two options. Either you can tell the employee, you can notify the employee that application is not good. You have to resubmit the application. So here in this reject option, what I can do, I can select a step where it should redirect to. So here I want to redirect to the employee once again if he rejects it. So employee will get a email saying that your application has been rejected. You need to resubmit it. Or else if I want to terminate it, if he rejects it, the application process will be terminated. The employee has to submit a new application once again. So in that process, if you want to terminate the process, you can simply have a terminate option here. You can terminate it. But in my case, I don't want the employee to reapply another application or be in a dilemma whether his application is approved or rejected. So you don't know that. So for that process, what I'm doing is once I reject it, I want to notify the employee. So I'm redirecting this step to the employee once again from this go to field. So once that is done, so here another step is accept. Once he accepts, it goes to the HR. So once the HR accepts it, so the only thing is once he accepts it, the leave application is approved. So I will terminate the process. The process has been terminated. End to end, it is terminated. If at all he rejects it, so I want the application to go to the manager once again, so that manager can understand that the leave application has been rejected and he has to submit some details, or he has done some mistake, or his employee has done some mistake. So he need to correct it. So I'm redirecting this reject to manager once again. So this is how you can create a sequential flow, which is helpful for our use case. So now this is how you can create a process flow in this way, simple workflow. So I will talk about this parallel and conditional workflow as well in this session itself, but in the later. So once we publish the application, I will come back to this application. I will edit it. I will talk about all the other options which are there as well to give you a proper understanding. Now, once you automate the process, now in this workflow, the process is totally automated now. Now let's come to the business rules option. Okay, so the system is throwing errors. As you can see, the system will always throw you an error or will notify you if you are doing any some wrong or anything. So here I can select the role and I can select the actor. So as you can see, I am not having any in this workspace. I did not provide any roles in this workspace. So I'm not having any actor here to select. Maybe I will select users. Do we have users? No, there are no users. So I will select initiator itself as a manager. Initiator in the sense nothing but the employee who is initiating the application. As of now, I am putting him as a manager. And then HR also I will put the initiator as HR as well. But I will come back later to this point, and I will add roles into the workspace and users into the workspace, and I will show you how this works. Okay. For as of now, not to disturb our process, I am going with the next option. Once the workflow is configured, next you come to the business rules part. So business rules is a very complex topic to talk about, but I will I will tell you in a very simple manner for you to understand what is a business rule. So in any application, you will have some logics. For example, like in this application, in this form builder, what I want to do is that whenever the user selects the type as if he selects the type as sick leave or privilege leave, at that point of time, I don't want any reason for that, because the manager will know he will have an understanding about sick leave and privilege leave. But if he is taking a casual leave, so it is sometimes mandatory that manager has to have a reason, employee has to provide a reason for taking a casual leave if there is any urgency. So for casual leave only, I want the reason section to be populated in the form when the employee is applying for a leave. So to configure that kind of logics on this form, so we can use business rules for that. So here what we can do is that in the business rules, what I want to do is I will click on an add rule, and I will name this rule as reason, because I'm putting a rule on that reason data capturing field. And I will select the element as a leave type. Now I'm configuring the condition. I'm telling the platform that condition 1, if the element leave type is comparing with a value, when we compare it a value, comparison is equal to casual leave. So if the leave type is casual leave, then only there should be action which should be performed. Action should be at element level, and I want to show the element, and then the element should be reason. So only if and only if the leave type is compared with value equals to casual leave, then only I want this reason box to be populated for the end user in the application. So let me show you how this works. So let me save this rule. I want to write some counter rules as well for this condition. I want to give some counter conditions as well. So now I have given a condition that if the user selects leave type as casual leave, then only the reason data capturing field should be populated on the application. What if he selects other types, maybe sick leave or privilege leave? Then I don't want that reason data capturing field to be populated on the application, or I don't want to show that field to the user. So what I can do is that I will simply duplicate these rules, and I will edit these rules, and I will put the same condition that condition if the leave type is equal to compare with value. If it is a sick leave, then at element level, I want to hide the element. What the element is reason. So I'm hiding the element here. If the user selects the leave type as sick leave, I am hiding the element, the reason. So I will save this in the same manner. If the condition is if the user selects, the condition is if the user selects leave type compare with value equal to privileged leave, at that point of time also element level, I want to hide this reason element, because I don't want the user to give any reason. He has this privilege to take a leave. He is taking a privilege leave. So this is how we can simply save the rules. This is how the business rule works. But as of now, I will not be able to show you how this works. But once we complete the whole application creation process, I will take back to you to the application, and I will show you how the business rule fires. Okay. Now there is validation as well. So in the starting of this session, I have given you a hint that there are in the properties of each element, there are validation settings which you have seen, like the required field, pattern, validation, and everything. So I told you that in business rules also you will see similar type of validations, which is nothing but to limit the user, to put some limitations to the user on how to use the application. That's it. So validation is nothing but in the validation also you have some conditions. For example, if employee name, compare with value. If it is empty, if the employee name is empty, if the user leaves the employee name as empty, then I want employee name validation type. I want this employee name as a required field, and I will tell the validation name as I want to tell the employee that employee name is a required field. So there will be a message which will be populated for him that this is a required field. So this is how you can put some validations. There are different types of validations that you can put. That is, I can put a custom validation, custom validation in the sense, according to my requirement, I want to put a validation. I can put that, or if I want to put a validation like you have to enter email address in that field, or phone number, or length validation, pattern validation. So whatever different types of validations that you want, you can put it. So validation is nothing but you are limiting the person, or you are knocking the person and telling him that dear user, there is a validation here that you need to follow that condition if you want to submit this application. So that is how the validation works. So for you to understand, I have created a sample validation here, and I will save it. Now this is how the business rule works, but at the end I will show you how this business rule fires. Okay. Now let's move on to the access permission. So I have configured my business logic here, and now I will come to the access permission. So in this access permissions, what you can do with this access permission is that you can limit the user accessibility for different sections of the form. So if you see in this form builder, yes. So as you can see in this form builder, you have three different types of sections. One is employee section, one is manager section, and one is HR section. Now in this section, there are three sections in the form, as you can see in the application. So if you do not put any limitations for the users, so the user will be able to see and manipulate the data of a manager or HR. He can do anything. So for employee to not do that, or manager to not exploit employee data, so we can set access permissions. So access permissions, what you can do is that in the access permission space on the left hand side, you will see all the steps which are there in the workflow. For example, in the workflow, we have employee step, manager step, and HR step. So in access permissions also, you can see the employee step, the manager, and the HR. So what I want, how do I want to restrict the user in the sense? One is I can make the, so on the left hand side, you can see the workflow steps. On the right hand side, you can see the sections in the sections of the application. So this is for workflow and this is for form builder. As you can see in the form builder, we have three types of sections. So in access permissions also, we have three types of sections here. So now the rule is that for employee, when he accesses this leave application, he wants to edit his employee section, right? Because he wants to apply for a leave, he wants to enter his details. So I will make the employee section to be editable for him. So if I keep it editable, employee can edit the employee section. However, employee should not interfere in manager section and HR section. So for employee, when he is opening the application, he need not see manager section and HR section. So for employee, I will keep the first section as editable, and for manager section, I will keep it as hidden, and HR section also hidden. He no need to see these two sections. However, if you want to restrict the employee to the element level, in the sense in the employee section itself, you can see there is an employee ID, employee name, employee email ID, and then there is leave type and reason type. If I want the employee to not to edit, or if I want to hide some elements for the employee, I can do that as well. So now, since I want the employee to enter all the details in the employee section, so I'm keeping it as editable. For rest of the for employee, the manager section and HR section need not to be visible. So I'm keeping it as hidden. So next is the manager section. So for manager, he has to be able to read the details what employer submitted, but not should not be able to edit the details what employee submitted. So for that reason, for manager section, the employee details will be read only. For manager section, he should be able to edit the manager section. For HR section, he need not see the HR section here. So this is how when manager opens the application, he will see the employee details in read-only mode, and he will see the manager section as editable, where he will put his remarks and approval date and everything. So in the same way, when it comes to HR, so HR need to see the details what employee has submitted. So it should be read only. He should be able to see what manager has given his remarks. So it will be read only. And for HR to give his remarks, so it should be in editable mode. So this is how you can happily using access permissions, you can limit the user's access or visibility of different sections to a user. So in this way. So this is all about access permissions. So once you set the access permission, you can simply go to next. And then what you can do is that you can select a icon for the application. Maybe since it's a leave application, let me type in leave. There are no such icons for the leave. So maybe I will take this icon and I will put it as the app icon. Maybe this is a different thing which we are looking at. Employee. Let us take this application. Okay. So this is how there are in publish step also. There are a lot of settings that you can see on the left hand side, on the right hand side. I will let's not dive into this options as of now, because this is a higher level options when you are trying to achieve your use case. At that point of time, there will be a lot of requirements that you need. Maybe if you want this your application to be available offline. So there are a lot of things that that you can do. Maybe you want to integrate using the webhooks. So there are a lot of other settings that you have that you can use for this application. But as of now, for a simple application, you no need to do anything with these things. And you can simply publish the application by click of a button. So here we are. So here, as you can see, our application is created and published. So as you can see, if I would not take this much time to explain. If I want to create an application, I would create this application within 5 to 10 minutes. So that how this is how easy it is to create an application in Quixy. Now, as I promised you in the session, in the earlier part of the session, that I would like to show you different things after publishing this application. So this is how you will see the application to be. And from here itself, if you want to see the workflow, you can see the workflow rules, access permissions, and everything. However, you will not be able to edit anything. So now this is how the form would look like. Now, the first thing I wanted to show you is that the workflow. In the workflow, we were not able to select the roles. The main reason is that for that particular workspace, there are no users or roles which we have allocated. So I will go to the admin menu and I will go to workspaces here. So I will go to workspaces. So since we are using this customer success team workspace as a workspace to build our leave management process. So here what I will do is that in this workspace, I want to allocate this workspace to some users who are present in Quixy. So what I will do, I will create, I will put some user roles. If I want to create any role, I can create it. Yesterday, I think we have created a role called, I want to go to the users and I will redirect to roles. I think yesterday we have created a role called customer success manager here. So for this customer success manager, I want to, in customer success workspace, I want to give him as a manager role. And there is employee role which is there previously. So in that customer success workspace, I want to put some people into that workspace and give some roles to them. So to provide any roles to a workspace, what you can do is that you can simply go to user roles. And you can select a workspace here. So in customer success team, as you can see, there are no roles which are present. So that's the reason why we were not able to see roles in the workflow when we are creating. So I want to select, I want to add a user role. I will click a add user role here, and I will select a user here. So I will select my name since I'm the admin as of now, and I will select the role as customer success manager, and I will save. And let the platform take a couple of seconds to create that role. Yes, as you can see, for this customer success workspace, so there is a role for me, which is customer success manager. I am the person, I am the user, and my role is customer success manager. In the same way, I want to add another role. That is, I will select the user. Again, I am selecting myself here. And then I want to give a role as employee, and I will save. So here, as you can see, I have given a role to this person as well. And I want to create another role for another user. And I want to give him as customer success manager as well. So this is how you can, sometimes if you kind of do the same mistake, or if you haven't done this process, so you need to always, for any workspace, you need to always have some roles so that only those users, those roles and the users will be able to use the applications in that workspace, or else you will not be able to, no person will be able to use any applications or anything under that workspace. So as I told you before, a workspace can be a department or something, right? So under that, maybe if this is in my company, we have customer success team. So I have created a workspace for customer success team. If there is no person in the customer success team, then how will any person access the applications which are present in that workspace? So for this customer success team, I am giving a manager and I am giving an employee as well. So this is how you can come to users, and you can always go to user roles, and you can assign roles into into any particular workspace that you see. So this is how you can provide the roles. Once the roles are provided, right? So I will come to admin menu, and now since I have already created an application, so all the applications that you have created, that will be present in manage apps. Now this is second new thing which you are learning in this video, is this in this session, is that manage apps. So if you go to manage applications, so you will have a workspace option here. So as of now, since we are dealing with customer success team, platform recognized it and it has given customer selected customer success team automatically. However, if you have different types of workspaces, you can select different types of workspaces. So according to that workspace, you will get the applications which are present in that workspace. So I am selecting the customer success team here. So my in customer success team, we have one application, that is leave management. So don't do a mistake. People tend to do a small silly mistake, is that they kind of select a workspace and they try to search for applications which are present in some other workspace, which platform will not recognize and will not give you any data. So don't get into the trap. So if you want to see all the applications at one place, you can select all, and all the applications according to the workspace, you can see here all the applications will get populated. And now you can select any application, and the platform will search and give you the application here. So as of now, we stick to the customer success management team workspace. And in this workspace, we are having leave management tab. And to edit any application, you can either go to edit app section here itself on the top right corner. And you have another way as well. Maybe you can click on view the application. So this is the view of the application, and in the top right corner you will see an edit button. You can simply click on edit button, and you will come to the application edit part. You can navigate to different parts of the different sections of the app creation process. And if you want to do any editing, you can do that. So now in the workflow, I wanted to show you how to give the roles and everything, right? So here for employee, I will select a role. As you can see here, now the roles has been given. So first employee has to submit the details. So as I'm selecting the employee role here, employee will submit it. Now the manager, I will select a role. I will select the role as customer success manager here. Now, if I want to give any HR role also, for HR also, I will give a role. As of now, I'm not having HR role here. So I'm selecting customer success manager as a role itself. The role can be HR as well. If you want to put a HR role, you can go to users, go to user roles, and you can add a role in the workspace, how we have seen now. And the role whatever you have added, so the role can be seen here. There will be one more option which will be populated there as a HR, and you can select the HR. So this is how the roles will be shown to you. If you want to select any users other than roles, if you want to select any users, you can go to users and select a user as well according to your requirement. But as of now, I want to select roles. I will stick to the roles here. So this is how the roles would actor type roles would populate for you once you have roles defined to a workspace. So I hope we have cleared one point here, is that we wanted to change the roles here. So we have done that. So let us, so HR step, yes, we did not do this. Okay, we have selected a role for HR also. So I will publish this application here. So please remember that whenever you do some editing, the platform will not save the editing automatically. You need to publish the application every time you edit. Maybe if you want to go back to the previous version after editing, you have app versions option also, like app versions option. From there, if you want to come back to the previous version, you can come back to the previous version anytime. So how many times, however times you kind of edit the application, so all that editing parts will be saved in versions. So according to your requirement, you can go back to the version anytime you want. So this is how you have seen the workflow. Now I wanted to show you how the business rules work. After that, I will show you how to use the parallel workflow and the conditional workflows. There are two other options which are present in workflow. I will talk about it later in the discussion, but as of now, we have configured some rules here. If you can see, we have configured some rules is that whenever the condition is that if the leave type is equal to casual leave, element level reason has to be populated. For all the other leave types, the reason button has to be hidden. So now let us go to add record mode. Here, let me show you how this works. When you come to the add record mode, as you can see, you can employee can enter the details here like this. So here, the business rule, you will be able to see the action of the business rules here. The logic what I have given is, if I select a sick leave, the reason I no need to give a reason. So if the employee selects sick leave, you no need to give the reason. So the reason box is hidden here. In the same way, if he is taking a casual leave, he should give a reason. So the reason box is populating. In the same way, if he takes a privileged leave, then he need not give a reason. Then that's the reason why the reason box is is hidden here. So this is just a very minute part of business rules. You can achieve a lot more things with business rules. So this is about business rules for you. This is how the business rules works for you. Now let me show you how the other parts of workflow. And after that, at the end of the day, I will show you the end-to-end working of the application. So now if I let me go to the manage apps and edit this application. So I want to edit this application to show you what are the different other types of workflows which are there. Now, this is a sequential workflow where there is a single flow from one step to the other step. But however, we have different workflows as well. So normally in any organizations, there can be different processes. For example, maybe in in this use case, we have 3 different types of leaves, right? So maybe in this workspace, maybe some or the other person wants a parallel flow. Parallel flow in the sense, maybe that employee is reporting to 2 different managers at the same time. And if he takes privileged leave, then the approval request should go to a different manager. If he is taking a casual leave, then it should go to a different manager for approval process. So for that, what I will do, I will take a parallel step. So in this parallel step, what I can do, let me reiterate what I have said. So in this parallel step, if at all an employee is answering to 2 managers, if he has 2 managers simultaneously, and he has to get approval from both the managers, then only he will be eligible for leave. If at all one of the manager will reject the leave, then he will not be able to, he will not get the leave approval. So in that scenarios, this is a sample scenario which I'm saying. According to use case, you can configure this parallel flow. So here I can give second step as manager 1, and the fourth step as manager 2. So what happens in this process is that for both the managers, you can have approval and submit steps. So yeah, so as we are talking about the parallel flow, let me come back to the parallel flow once again. So here we can put a parallel flow. So this is how the parallel flow would look like. So in this flow, what happens in the sense, whenever the employee submits an application, the approval step will go to both the managers. So both the managers, they can either approve or reject it. So according to if there is one no from the both managers, so the application will not be processed. If both the managers accept it, then the flow will go to the HR step for the further process. So in the same way, if you want to put any conditional flows, for example, maybe in our leave type, we have 3 different types of leaves, right? So I want to put a condition here that this is, let it be manager 1. And this, let it be manager 2. So if at all, I will put a condition that let me come to the conditional step. Yes, so in this condition, what I can do is that I will name this step as manager 1. So what is the condition? What is conditional step in the sense? In process automation, there will be different types of flows that we can configure. So sometimes based on a condition, the flow should go to some X person or the Y person. So let us take example of our leave application. So I have 2 managers here, and I have 3 different types of leaves. If at all I apply a sick leave, then the approval step should go to my first manager. If at all I am applying for a casual leave, the second, if I am applying a casual leave, then the step should flow to the second manager. So here I am putting a condition that if at all leave type is equal to sick leave, then I will save this condition. Then the process will flow to the HR process, the HR person. Okay. So if at all I will put some another condition for manager 2 is that if at all my leave type is equal to some casual leave, then only it should go to the second process. So this is how you can put your conditional flows as well, and then you can automate your process. So based on the conditions, so I hope you might not understand here, or I hope you got some insight about this conditional flows. But when you want to automate any process according to the condition, that is possible in Quixy as well. So this is all about our app creation process in Quixy. I hope you understood the depth of app creation, and not into depth, but you understood the flow, how a app can be created in Quixy with simple 6-step process. Now I want to show you something that I told you I would show. So in the workflow process, I told you that there are a couple of task messages and deadline hours that you need to configure. Let me show you that. So in this workflow, as I told you here, there are task messages and there is the task deadlines and everything, right? So this is nothing but, if you come to tasks page, so I have given an overview on the tasks page yesterday. So in this task page, I told you that whenever you get a task, for example, if an employee submits a leave, the manager will get a task like this one. So here itself, he can either approve or reject the application. He can take an action on the task. So what we can do here is that, so here if you can see, there is a task name here, supplier onboarding app needs action for step 3. So this is the task message which you can configure according to your requirements. Maybe in the leave application, you want the manager to see the message as please approve my leave application. So you will get the date as well, and couple of fields that you will get. So a couple of fields also you will get here. So this is the task message that we are talking about in the workflow as well, that you can configure. So yeah, so sorry for the delay. So as you can see, here is the task message which you can see. So for the manager, the task message would come like this. And as you can see, the due date, as you can see, the task deadline. So once you set a task deadline, and the platform will calculate the hours, and it will show him the task deadline here, the time and the date, whatever you have given. So this is how the task name and the task deadline would work for you. So I hope you understood the whole app creation process, the 6-step process. This is a very brief description we have given, brief walkthrough that we have given to create an application. And I hope you understood how to create an application, maybe if not the complex things, but at least you understood the basics of app creation and everything. Going forward, we can deep dive once you once you land on our Quixy platform. Once you start creating the applications, we will always be there for you to provide you with support, videos and everything for your proper understanding. If you want much depth knowledge about the application creation process, we will always be there. And we have a lot of material, knowledge-based material that you can refer to as well. So with this, we have come to the end of this session, and I hope the app creation process is clear for you. So if you have any doubts in this process, in this app creation process, we have 2 doubt sessions that we do at 2:30 p.m. IST, and we do another session at 11 p.m. IST. So you can come to the doubt sessions, and we would clarify any kind of doubts that you have. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for listening to this course. Over to you, Shrikant.
Thank you, Shashi. I hope all the participants have already started their app building process, and I think this session will give more deep insights on the app creation process when they are referring to this recording also. So thank you once again, Shashi, and thank you all the participants. So we'll meet again tomorrow at the same time, which is 9 p.m. IST. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.